January 14th, 1941. Lyon, France. The winter air is biting, cutting through the streets of the city like shards of glass. Even the stone buildings seem to tremble beneath the weight of the German occupation. The once bustling markets are now eerily quiet, their usual vibrance smothered by the heavy boots of soldiers that echo through narrow alleys. At the heart of this grim landscape, nestled among the gray stone and shadows, is a small, unremarkable seamstress shop. Inside, Claire Duhamel works by the dim light of a flickering lamp, her hands moving with practiced precision as she sews through thick, military-grade fabric. The rhythmic hum of the sewing machine offers a rare sound of normalcy in a world that has been upended by war. But this is no ordinary day. Beneath the simple act of stitching a piece of cloth, Claire is threading a fine line of resistance. Her shop, once a place of quiet work, has slowly become a secret haven for the underground. To the outside world, she is simply the humble seamstress who mends uniforms and makes alterations for German officers. But to the brave souls fighting in the shadows of Nazi-controlled France, Claire is something far more significant, a silent force in a war of whispers. No one knows how deep her involvement runs. No one suspects that beneath the surface of her quiet existence lies a defiance that could cost her everything. For Claire, this life has not come without sacrifice. Every day, she risks her life to create garments that might as well be marked with a death sentence. She sews uniforms, alterations for the very soldiers who patrol her streets, arresting anyone who dares to defy the new order. Every stitch she makes is a reminder of her complicity in their war machine, even as it makes her stomach turn. Yet, the alternative, no work at all, no means to survive, no way to feed her younger brother or keep their small apartment, is unimaginable. Her sewing machine, once a tool of daily routine, has taken on a new meaning. It has become a metaphor for her dual existence, one of compliance and resistance. The Nazi uniforms, which she alters with the utmost care, are now part of a larger, more dangerous plan. A plan she never asked for, but could no longer ignore. She does not question the necessity of her actions. She only questions whether she is doing enough. Every day, when she watches the soldiers come and go, she wonders if they suspect what she's truly doing. But suspicion is the currency of this war, and suspicion can kill. On that cold January morning, as Claire works, her mind drifts to the world outside, where the weight of the occupation presses down on every corner of French life. Rationing has become a way of life. People are starving, and the black market thrives, offering hope for those with the resources to buy from it. As food disappears from the shelves and basic supplies become luxuries, the city's once thriving population is now a portrait of fear, hunger, and submission. The hope of liberation seems distant, perhaps too far to even dream of. Claire's hands still, and she looks down at the fabric in her lap. The military insignia is crisp and clean, the perfect replica of the German forces she has grown to loathe. She has seen these insignias far too many times now. The very sight of them makes her heart ache, as if each stitch ties her tighter to the enemy. But it is not the insignia she is concerned with today. It's the package she has just sewn into the lining of the officer's coat. It is a small, inconspicuous parcel, but it carries within it something far more dangerous than fabric. A coded message, a plea for action, a call to arms. Claire has become part of something larger than herself, something that cannot be undone, no matter how much she wishes it were not so. The door of her shop opens with a soft bell ringing, and Claire's heart skips. She stands, hands trembling, expecting yet another German officer, but instead, it's a young woman, no older than herself, wearing the tattered remains of a coat. She is not a customer, though. Claire can see it in her eyes, those eyes that have seen too much. The young woman slips into the back of the shop, her footsteps light but purposeful. She does not speak, only looks at Claire with an intensity that tells her everything. Without a word, the woman walks to the corner of the shop where a large chest sits, half open with rolls of fabric spilling out. Claire follows, her stomach a knot of nerves. The woman reaches into her bag and pulls out a small, tightly folded piece of paper, and as she hands it to Claire, she finally speaks in a whisper, "You are needed." Claire's mind races, her breath shallow. The woman's presence here is a signal. The message she has just received is dangerous, the kind of information that could lead to death. Yet, it is impossible to turn away. Her hand reaches for the paper without thinking, her fingers brushing the delicate folds of it. When she opens it, she finds nothing but a series of numbers, letters, and symbols, a code she knows all too well. It's a request from the resistance, a plea for her to deliver supplies and documents to a cell operating just outside the city. A few months ago, Claire would have hesitated. She would have turned the woman away, afraid of what would happen if the Germans found out. But something has changed in her since the war began. She's no longer the same woman who sat idly by, sewing in the quiet of her shop. Now, with each passing day, she feels the weight of the world on her shoulders. There is no turning back. She has already crossed the line. Her hands shake as she carefully folds the message back up and slides it into the lining of the officer's coat. The woman watches, her eyes full of understanding. Neither of them says a word. They don't need to. They both know what is at stake here. As the woman leaves, Claire's heart races. She moves to lock the door behind her, but before she can, she hears the sound of boots outside. German soldiers. Claire's breath catches in her throat. There's no time. She can't risk being caught. The message, everything she's just agreed to, is too important. If she's caught now, everything will be lost. With quick, sure hands, Claire gathers the officer's coat and slips it onto a nearby mannequin, covering the hidden package with a cloth. She steps back and watches, her chest tightening with every passing second. The sound of boots grows louder, closer now, until they stop just outside the door. For what feels like an eternity, Claire stands frozen, the weight of her decision pressing down on her chest. She can hear her heart thudding in her ears. But then, the footsteps fade. The soldiers have passed by. She exhales, a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. For the first time in what feels like years, she allows herself a moment of relief. The decision has been made. There's no turning back now. Claire walks to the small window at the back of the shop, looking out over the city. In the distance, she can see the faint outline of the German flag flapping in the wind. The sight of it fills her with a deep, gnawing anger, but also something else, a resolve. This war is not over, not by a long shot. And for people like her, the war has only just begun. As she watches the city, Claire understands that her role in this war is not one she can ever escape. She has crossed a line, but that line has brought her closer to something greater than herself. A chance to fight, not with weapons, but with what she knows best, her needle, her thread, and her quiet courage. The hum of the sewing machine begins again, the sound almost soothing now. She knows she's playing a dangerous game, but there's no turning back. Her actions may go unnoticed by the world, but they will mean everything to those she helps. And that's enough. For now, it has to be. March 5th, 1942. Lyon, France. The chill of the early morning air seeps through the cracks of the city's ancient buildings, mingling with the smoke that rises from chimneys and the remnants of battlefields. Claire Duhamel stands at the edge of her small workshop, her eyes flicking nervously toward the window, where the familiar gray outlines of German soldiers march past. The rhythmic sound of boots on cobblestone echoes through the streets, each step a reminder of the oppressive presence of the occupation. But inside her shop, the world is different. Here is a sanctuary, a place where resistance is stitched together in the quiet hum of a sewing machine. The once innocent task of altering Nazi uniforms has become something far more dangerous, something vital. Claire's role in the underground movement has deepened. Her small acts of defiance have begun to ripple out into the larger resistance network, connecting her to people she would have never imagined crossing paths with a year ago. The clothing she once simply mended now carries hidden messages and supplies. Documents are sewn into the linings of coats, maps are stitched into sleeves, and forged papers are tucked away in the folds of jackets. Every garment she creates is a lifeline, a small act of rebellion against the suffocating presence of the Nazi regime. It is a life she never asked for, yet one she has become inseparable from. The woman who once hesitated, afraid of the consequences of her actions, has been replaced by a person who now sees this work as necessary, inevitable even. There is no turning back. With each passing day, Claire feels the weight of her decision pressing harder on her shoulders, but there is also an undeniable sense of purpose that comes with it. She may be a seamstress, but she has become much more than that. She is a thread in the larger fabric of the resistance, one of many hidden heroes working in silence, far from the spotlight, but no less essential to the cause. The sound of the bell over her door interrupts her thoughts. Claire's heart jumps in her chest, a familiar pang of fear rising as she turns toward the entrance. She has learned to move quickly when she hears that sound. Every second counts when there's a risk of discovery. But it isn't a soldier who enters the shop this time. It is another member of the underground network, a man she has only seen a handful of times, but one whose face she recognizes instantly. He is wearing the uniform of the French resistance, his dark eyes scanning the room with practiced caution. His name is Paul, and like her, he carries the burden of defiance on his shoulders. "Claire," Paul says in a low voice, his tone urgent but calm. "The situation has changed. We need to move faster." Claire feels her stomach tighten. She knows what this means. The network they have worked so hard to build is in danger. The Gestapo is closing in, tightening their grip on the city. The resistance cells that have flourished in the shadows for so long are now exposed, and they need to act quickly before their plans are crushed underfoot. "What's happened?" Claire asks, her voice barely above a whisper as she steps closer to him, her mind racing. They've started rounding up known collaborators. People are being questioned, arrested. They're looking for anyone who might be hiding something, anyone with ties to the underground. "We can't wait any longer. We need to get these documents to the safe house in the next 24 hours. Claire's hands tremble slightly as she reaches for the package he hands her. It is small, wrapped tightly in cloth, but she can feel the weight of it, the importance of what is inside. It is a set of forged papers, crucial information about the movements of Nazi forces in the area. These papers are essential for the next stage of the resistance's plan, and without them, everything they've fought for will be at risk. Claire's role in this is clear. She must deliver the package to the safe house, a task that could cost her life if she is caught. The streets are no longer safe, not for anyone. The risk has become unbearable, but there is no other choice. Paul's eyes meet hers, and for a brief moment, Claire sees something she hasn't seen in him before, doubt. He is afraid, and that fear is contagious. They both know the dangers they face. If she is caught with this package, the consequences will be immediate and deadly. The Gestapo has no mercy, no hesitation. But there is something else in his eyes, too, something that Claire has come to understand in the past few months, a deep, unwavering belief in the cause. A belief that has carried them both through the darkest hours. "Do you think they'll be looking for me?" Claire asks, her voice shaky but determined. Paul nods, his gaze never leaving hers. "Yes, but you're our best chance. You know how to blend in. You're already part of the fabric of the city. Just keep your head down. Don't make any waves." She knows what he means. She has spent the last several months sewing for the enemy, altering their uniforms, even serving them their meals in the small cafe downstairs. She has become part of the city's routine, a face that blends into the background. But now, that very familiarity could be her undoing. She is too closely tied to the enemy's fabric. If they realize who she is, if they put together the pieces, her cover will be blown, and there will be no escape. Claire takes a deep breath and looks at the package one more time. Her fingers run over the cloth, feeling the weight of what it represents. This is more than just paper and ink. This is a lifeline for those who are fighting against the occupation, for those who are risking everything to reclaim their freedom. It is a lifeline for her, too. It is her chance to make a difference, to be part of something larger than herself. "I'll do it," she says finally, her voice steady, her resolve hardening. Paul's face softens, a rare smile breaking through the tension. I knew I could count on you." As he leaves, Claire stands frozen for a moment, staring at the package in her hands. The weight of it seems to grow heavier with each passing second. Her heart pounds in her chest as she considers the danger ahead. This is no longer a game of hiding in plain sight. This is real, and it is happening now. The resistance has come to her doorstep, and there is no turning back. Claire walks to the back of the shop, her mind racing as she begins to prepare for the journey ahead. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself. She knows the risks. She knows the dangers. But she also knows what is at stake. Lives are on the line. This is no longer just about survival. It is about defiance, about showing the world that even in the darkest of times, hope can still survive, can still grow, even in the most unexpected places. She moves with quick efficiency, gathering her things and slipping on her coat. But as she does, something inside her stirs. This mission is unlike any she has faced before. It is more personal. She has crossed a threshold in her own life, and now she is about to enter into a world where there are no guarantees, where trust is a luxury and every moment is fraught with peril. Her footsteps are light but purposeful as she makes her way to the door. She pauses for a moment, her hand on the knob, and glances back at the small, cluttered shop. It feels strange, as if she is leaving behind more than just a place of work. She is leaving behind the person she once was, the woman who sewed in silence, who kept her head down and hoped that the storm of war would pass her by. She is no longer that woman. She has become something else, something that no longer fits into the world she once knew. As she steps into the street, the sound of boots still echoing in the distance, Claire knows one thing for certain. She cannot turn back now. The path she has chosen is fraught with danger, but it is also the only one that leads to freedom. For her, and for the city that is slowly waking from the nightmare of occupation. The only question that remains is whether she will make it through this, whether her actions will matter in the grand scheme of the war. But even as doubt creeps in, Claire moves forward, one step at a time. The package she carries is a small thread in the grand tapestry of the resistance, but it is a thread that she is determined to carry. She is no longer just a seamstress. She is part of something much bigger, and this is only the beginning. July 17th, 1944. The streets of Lyon are alive with the sounds of liberation. The city, once stifled under the weight of Nazi occupation, is now filled with the chaotic energy of freedom. French flags wave from windows, their bright blue, white, and red a stark contrast to the gray skies that have loomed over the city for so long. The Germans are retreating, their hold on France finally slipping away like sand through clenched fingers. The streets are filled with the jubilant cries of the French people, soldiers marching through the city, and the deafening roar of victory. But for Claire Duhamel, there is no celebration. The moment of liberation she once dreamed of has arrived, but it has come with an emptiness she cannot escape.